8,
7,
6,
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It's only fitting that our first guest on the show would be Mr. Nines himself, Cloud9 founder and CEO Jack Etienne. How do you like our Cloud9 clubhouse? It's an awesome studio.
I'm blown away by the studio. It looks amazing.
I mean, you paid for it, so I would hope so.
Yes, good point.
So a lot of people are getting into the esports business, obviously. We see new endemic and non-endemic teams popping up all the time. You've been here for, a medium length of time in esports, like half the time as everybody else that you're sitting with right now, but a good amount of time. So is having an esports team as glamorous as it seems?
I don't think I got into esports thinking about, wow, this would be glamorous. This is a really sexy thing that I want to be a part of. When I did it, I kind of fell into it. I was introduced to Andy Din from TSM, and he needed some help learning how to make money with his website. I was running an ad sales division for Crunchyroll, so I was in a good place to actually help him with that business. And once that got off the ground, he was really focused on esports, and I started to go to some events with him, and I saw the energy of the crowd. I love the competitiveness of the game, and I realized I love this. I want to be a part of it. At that time, esports was, even the word esports really wasn't really a thing that was thrown around in League of Legends at these events. And I definitely was something that I fell into and loved just the competitive nature and the excitement of the fans. So it definitely wasn't like how sexy this game is. It was just a love of the actual passion behind the game.
So for new owners, or to me, who had a disastrous run as an owner, what pieces of it, what pieces of advice would you give to new or disastrous owners?
Oh yeah, well I think one thing that people don't realize is that, yeah, it looks great on stage. It's really fun interacting with the players, but there's so much work that goes on behind the scenes that is not fun. That is not like, it's not really fun to make sure you have good meal prep for your players, that they're waking up on time, they're getting to places at the correct time, having all of the social media functioning well. It's a lot of work, but if you love helping people achieve their goals, it can be, fulfilling.
Absolutely, and I think the passion of the fans has responded directly to the passion that you put in creating the organization. And I think we wanted to reach out immediately and crowdsource Twitter for some of the questions that wanted to ask Jack. From here, Joe Herbalejo asks, how did the culture of the organization we all know and love come to stick? Thanks for that question, Joe.
I think I started off with a really good group of 5 guys, and we immediately it wasn't a business when I was running with those original League of Legends teams. It was more of a family. We really enjoyed spending time with each other, laughing together, but when it came to work, we worked really hard. And that core culture that I built up with those 5 original guys, I loved it. I didn't want that to change. So as we added on teams and we added on people, I wanted to make sure that that core part of what I loved from Cloud9 stayed with Cloud9. And it's been like, it didn't just happen, without actually thinking about it. When I hired players, I wanted to make sure that they kind of bought into the culture that we had at Cloud9. And that was something that they wanted to be a part of and that actually mattered to them. And it's something that you always have to maintain. If you kind of see people behaving in a way that isn't good for your company culture, you actually need to adjust and say, hey, let's look at how you're acting, and let's change it to be what fits with Cloud9. If that doesn't feel good to you, then maybe you're not a good fit for Cloud9.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it has come across as very organic in the development as well. So you're represented, C9, across a variety of titles. You're one of the biggest esports teams on the planet. Is there anything when you consider entering into a new esport, other than, of course, the raw numbers, the viewership, the player base, what factors go into deciding when you're going to pick up a new roster?
Yeah, I mean, I just said it. Of course, there needs to be a lot of viewership on the game for it to make sense. The game extra, just because a game is a really popular game and getting a lot of views on Twitch doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a good esport. There's like a really good. There needs to be a good spectator environment for the game. And if I see a game that I feel like people could enjoy watching this game as much as if not more than actually playing the game, that it starts making me think, hey, this is something that maybe Cloud9 should be a part of. And if you pair that with a game that also gets a lot of visibility, it gets a little bit more exciting. And if I start seeing traction on Twitch and the game has a good spectator feel, then Cloud9 needs to get in, and they need to get in early to establish themselves as one of the teams that's a top tier in that game.
And we have seen a game like Dota 2, which you have fielded rosters in the past, which does have obviously large numbers and a great spectator experience. So what are your current thoughts about Dota 2? Is C9 looking to get back in? What are the factors that go into the Dota 2 end of things?
I love Dota 2. I think that's one of the best games on the planet. But the game, if you just look at the kind of the culture of Dota 2 and the way the players and the teams operate, it's been difficult to try to hold together a team that is successful and kind of has the same family feel as Cloud9 and allows Cloud9 to really be involved in the way players come in and come out of the game. Dota 2, at the end of each TI, often teams just rip apart. At least that historically has been the case. Now, we're seeing now that teams are starting to stick together longer, and the teams that do have a core that stick together longer seem to be more successful. And you can see Team Liquid has done a really good job with that. And that gives me a lot of faith that maybe it's time for Cloud9 to come back into that game, and I would love to find the opportunity to do it.
Cool. Just an add-on to that, do you think Valve have any influence over that, whether the players are sticking together, or whether it's the orgs that are having a say?
I think how they have kind of influenced that is that they've set up a really good system where the players can get fantastic, basically the prize money from these events is astronomical. And by setting up an event where you can earn a lot of money and the players or the teams that are seen to be winning that money are sticking together longer, sends a signal that, hey, maybe we shouldn't be tearing apart after every major event. Maybe we're missing something, some sort of element of teamwork and team building that these teams that are winning these events over and over again. And maybe that's why we need to stick together. And that's where I can come in and say, hey, we have these groups that are stable, these teams that have been working together for years, and we've been successful. Maybe we can help you in Dota 2.
So being a CEO and founder of an esports, now we actually get to have a bit of your backstory. But can you go ahead and shine some insight on the good, the bad, and the spaghetti western ugly of being a CEO and founder?
Yeah, I mean, I think at its core, the most fun I have is trying to identify new and upcoming talent, or talent that maybe has had a shot and then fell off and people no longer recognize as good. Finding those players, then plugging them into our system and seeing it work together. And it doesn't always obviously work, but I think we've had a really good history of picking up new talent and bringing them to the big stage and them doing fantastically well. And then sometimes they move on to other teams. Like Jensen, we picked him up. He was a banned player. We signed him before he's even unbanned, to bring him on, to get him trained to play, competitively, and then him to move on to Team Liquid and have great success. I love to see that. That makes me, feel really good about it. I think one of my proudest achievements is last year going to Worlds, half of our roster was rookies that year. I mean, when you think about it, that's insane.
Sick.
Having 3 out of your 6 players you sent to Worlds to be rookies, that's crazy. And I don't think those players got enough praise for what they pulled off. And they went through the ringer. It wasn't all just got 6 guys together and started winning. I mean, in summer split halfway through last year, they were last place team. And they pulled together, they got their game together and went on to Worlds and had a historic performance.
Helps that you have an excellent coach in Reaper to pull that off.
Thank God I got
Yeah, I definitely
Let's
know.
talk about Reaper, because he's amazing.
Yeah, I definitely know that to the fans, that was the Cinderella story that everyone was focusing on, so it was definitely a really heartwarming moment. Before we let you go, we have a few more Twitter questions for you. So Jay asks, has Cloud9 invested in a sports psychologist? And if not, why?
That's a really good question. And for years, we've actually had sports psychologists on our team. We started with one sports psychologist. He's with us for about 3 years. He's now actually with TSM, and he is fantastic. And we have just hired a new guy that is with our team right now in LA, and he seems to be wonderful. But I think that it really does add a dimension to our team that not all teams have really started tapping yet, that really helps us perform better. And it's not just like, hey, let me just analyze the way you think and try to change that. Often it's just like as simple as, hey, I think you guys are missing something in communication here. This guy's trying to communicate this to you guys, and you guys aren't actually processing it.
You're not hearing it.
So it does cover some of the one-on-one, hey, how can I make sure you don't have stage fright and make sure you won't go in with a confident mindset, but it also helps in communication in many other ways.
So we're going to go ahead and go for a bit of throwback. I'm just going to assume that the ugly part was that you have to sit next to guys like Monty and do interviews, That's my previous question.
The beautiful part.
So
You never know when it's going to get ugly.
This is a tweet. Says Monte Cristo, right? In 2013, writes, I think Quantic is the best team in the NALCS this season. Solid team fighting, tactically sound, good champion pools. Not great. For the meta. Thoughts on this tweet, Jack?
I think he was right.
So to contextualize this for people, I brought this up because this was actually right before Jack purchased the Quantic roster, which became the original core of C9, which in their first split went on to win the LCS.
Yeah.
So it was pretty prescient from me, right?
Yeah, I mean, it really was. And you didn't see the scrims. I was watching them play against TSM because I was at TSM at the time, and it was destruction. It was terrifying because this challenger team, it should usually. Back in the LCS early days, you'd only scrim other LCS teams. Yeah. But then we would give a couple scrims to these challenger teams, and they were wrecking us. And I was on the phone with other teams, hey, have you guys played Quantic? Yeah. How will scrims go? We're getting wrecked. I'm oh, us too. What the hell? These kids are good. And when I had the opportunity to pick them up, when Hai came to me and said, hey, I think, I'd like to play with you. I had another project going. I actually had already, literally just a few weeks before, purchased a team called GGS. And, wait, that's his GGS?
GGU.
Good GGU, sorry. That was a little slip. GGU, but that didn't end up working out. Those players wanted to play for the Slans, and so it was one of these opportunities where they wanted to play for the Slans. I'm here you go. And I want to play for me.
Age well.
So it worked out great.
How much did you pay for the Quantic roster?
I paid, enough time has gone by, I suppose I could talk about it. I paid $10,000 twice. And so how that happens is a little weird. So, I worked out a buyout agreement with one of the owners, and everything seemed great. But there was two owners of the team, and the second owner was like, hey, you didn't include me in this whole negotiation. I actually am not okay with the amount you did. So you need to actually pay a second buyout, and instead of fighting it, I'm okay, I just want you happy. I don't want my players to get sued, and so let's just make you happy and go away. And for me, it sounds crazy, $20,000 in today's dollars, it's nothing.
I mean,
right?
this has to be the best bargain in esports history.
I mean, in hindsight, it looks like. But at the time, I was just a working guy. I'm asking my wife, hey, can I get $10,000 for this team? She's like, yeah, fine. And I'm like, hey, Kat, another 10. She's like, why? What am I getting? The same thing again. What? but we won't get sued. And she's like, okay, do it. Yeah, it was, But that was, an interesting time, and it was a remarkable opportunity. And I do wonder, what would have happened with Cloud9 if I had stuck with GGU? Because I still had planned to go get a Dota team. I still planned to jump into Hearthstone. I still planned to get into Counter-Strike. So I think, I don't know what our brand would have been, because a lot of that was influenced by Hai.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And, in fact, if you go back in time, I literally had another brand in mind that I was going to go with, and Hai had his brand. He's like, I don't like your brand, I like this brand, and we had a vote. And me, Meteos, and Sneaky all voted for my brand, and Hai and Lemon and Balls all voted for Hai's brand. So it was a 3-3 split, and Hai's like, I'm team captain, I get to choose, I get to tie break. And I'm like, Okay. Just go with Cloud9. And I'm really glad he was, asserted himself there.
Excellent.
Yeah, and that roster of players are some of the titans of LCS and just the entire industry as a whole. So,
Can we talk about Meteos? He's first place in the LCS.
yeah, he's killing it this season.
His KDA is higher than ever. I forgot what the number is. It's over about 12.7 or whatever it is.
He's still begging on Twitter to buff Zach, I noticed.
Yeah, and get into League of Legends' new auto chess game.
Oh, team fight tactics. Yeah.
But no, Meteos is he's still a good friend. His birthday is coming up in just a couple of days, so happy birthday to you, Will. I still love all those guys, and we built something really special on them.
Absolutely. I think the fans can totally agree with that. Well, thank you so much for joining us and stopping by and chatting with us, Jack.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
Do you know who I am? I am the best player this game has ever seen. I am strong, fast, agile, fearless. I'm becoming immune to pressure, toxicity. This is not about the size of my muscles. It's all about the size of my will. I am the best player this game has ever seen. Just not yet.